Hey everyone! Today, we're diving into Calamity, a free-to-play action RPG that's got people talking. Think epic dungeons, weapon-based specializations, and a player-driven economy that skips the whole pay-to-win nonsense. Inspired by classics like Diablo and World of Warcraft, this game lets you craft your own journey with unique weapons and skills. Oh, and here's the buzz. Calamity just teamed up with Treasure DAO, and to celebrate, there's a massive public playtest happening right now until Friday. All you need to do is grab the game from the Epic Games Store, jump in, and you could win some magic along the way. Alright, let's get started and dive into the adventure that Calamity has to offer. Grab your weapons, choose your path, and let's see what makes this game so special. Alright, here we are at the start of our journey. First up, we need to choose a starting class. But don't stress, this choice isn't as big as it sounds. It only determines the type of weapon you'll begin with, and in turn, the initial set of skills you'll have at your disposal. Pretty flexible, right? These dark robes are calling my name. I'm choosing the mage. And we're in the game. This friendly guy Ivan will guide us through the tutorial. As you can see, the basics are super simple and handled with the mouse. Left click is mainly for attacking, while right click lets you move around and interact with NPCs. Now that we know how to move, let's head over to Yvonne. At the moment, Calamity features 3 character classes. Each levels up independently based on the weapon you're currently using. Warriors wield 2-handed swords and axes, hunters rely on bows and crossbows, and mages stick to staves and magic swords. Here's a quick guide to the inventory. Open it with eye or the bag icon, which, let's be real, looks like a cat. Drag weapons or armor into the right slots to equip them. Plus, there are 4 tabs for different gear setups, so you can create loadouts for each class. I didn't use this at first, but trust me, it's worth it. And last but not least, hotkeys. The controls are pretty standard, but if they're not your style, you can tweak them in settings. I love that this option works even in the playtest. Devs, thank you on behalf of all left-handed players. Time to gear up and take down those trolls Yvonne mentioned. I've gotta say, I'm really liking this dark and brooding mage. Let's follow the red arrow. It points to the nearest enemy. Here's our first troll archer to take down. As you can see, it's not a one-hit deal. And rookie mistake, I didn't read my skills before jumping into the fight. Finally, we're ready to take on our first big quest. The reward for defeating the forest guardian is the very gear we're using right now. Pretty cool. Let's go find this creature. I'll pause for a moment to read what my skills actually do. Important note, your armor also grants you 2 additional abilities, so keep that in mind. Now, all that's left is to follow the red arrows and defeat the enemies along the way. Let's test out this second weapon I got from Yvonne. Oh wow, it's an epic magic sword. Equipping it unlocks 4 skills right away. Seriously, it's worth taking a moment to read what you've picked up. Time to defeat the forest guardian and leave this place with our reward. Well, isn't that just great? Turns out Ivan isn't such a nice guy. He tricked us. Looks like there's no reward waiting for us. I'll use the portal to head back to town. Wonderful. Here I am, standing in the main square, broke and barely dressed, armed with nothing but a wooden staff. Well, no point crying over it. Time to head out and find some gear. But before we set off, let me give you a quick tour of the town. For this part, I'll switch to my more advanced character to better showcase some of the game's features. Let's start with the blacksmith. Here, you can repair damaged equipment by paying with materials. You can also salvage gear you no longer need here, and in return, you'll get materials. The last option is Enhance, which lets you improve the quality of your items. What's interesting is that a failed enhancement doesn't destroy the item. It just lowers its level by 1. Pretty cool, right? As you can see, upgrading my staff to level 5 significantly boosted its stats. Next up, the auctioneer, where the game's economy thrives. You can find gear on adventures or buy it from other players. Likewise, if you've got an item you don't need and don't want to salvage, you can sell it here. If you've played WoW, you'll feel right at home. Now it's time for the gemcrafter. Diablo players will definitely recognize this feature. Here, you can craft gemstones to upgrade your gear, socket them into items, and even remove them if needed. Before we check out the arcane artificer, here's something I discovered a bit late. The compendium lists skills for each class and weapon, and every weapon starts with 1 random skill from both categories. So even if you have 3 identical wooden staffs, they can grant different skills. The arcane artificer can change that. Here, you can re-roll the skills on a weapon, hoping for a better setup. Of course, this comes at a steep cost in materials. The last stop before we head through the portal is the Arena Master. You can't chat with the troll, but you can test your gear on the training dummies. I was about to head out when I remembered the quests. Click the book icon on the left to see tasks that earn you Valor points and boost your leaderboard rank. To qualify for magic rewards in the playtests, you'll need at least 400 Valor points. Finally! We're heading through the portal on our first adventure. Remember how I said reading is key? On the left side, you'll see a description of each stage. It shows whether it's a dungeon or a trial and how many rooms it has. Useful, since you'll need to clear them all to finish. Off we go to the forest. Before jumping into a quick summary, I want to point out a few more details. Who knows, maybe these little tips will come in handy for someone. First, see those 5 skulls at the top? They show which room of the dungeon you're in. The tricky part is that a skull only lights up after you've defeated 50% of the enemies on that level. That's pretty important. I once quit a run because I thought the levels went on forever. And don't forget, each one gets harder as you go. Second, potions. I was thrilled when I finally got some, but then spent a while searching my inventory for a slot to equip them. Turns out, there isn't one. To use potions, you need to select them using the small button above the skill slots for TNG. Low on health but don't want to waste a potion? Just stand still and wait. If you stop moving for a moment, your vitals will start regenerating pretty quickly. Not sure if this was the dev's intention, but since it works, it's good to know. I can't even count how many times the chat window annoyed me. I started calling it the killer chat in my head because I kept clicking on it instead of attacking enemies in the lower left corner. Turns out the fix was super simple. Just click the little arrow on the left side of the chat to hide it. Amazing, right? Lastly, let's talk about weapon swapping. While the game lets you create 4 gear setups, switching between them requires opening the inventory and clicking the corresponding number. It's a shame there's no way to do it with a quick hotkey. Switching gear resets skill cooldowns. It's usually not a big deal, but for something like Summon Boar with a 30-second cooldown, it's worth noting. At the end of this guide, I'd like to share my overall impressions of the game. Calamity impressed me on many levels. The pixel art graphics are stunning, with a retro vibe and smooth gameplay. The music is fantastic, enhancing the experience with immersive tunes, and the crisp sound effects add great dynamism to the gameplay. This is one of those games where I wish I could fully dive into the 3-day trial instead of having other things to do. It's just so enjoyable and inviting. Despite playing for over 2 hours without finding any armor, it hasn't bothered me. I just want to jump back through the portal and keep exploring. I hope this short guide has inspired you to give Calamity a try. If you've got the time, be sure to download it from the Epic Games Store and experience it for yourself. Did you enjoy this video? If so, don't forget to like, share, and follow my profile for more game content. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop your feedback in the comments below. For now, take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.